What's going on, guys? Welcome on back to Second and Short. My name is Tyler Lauder, and I'm joined with my co-host Molly McIntyre. No Aaron today, as he is on maternity leave or paternity leave or whatever it is for men. He's just spending time with his baby, and so while he's away, we're gonna be talking some football, and we're gonna talk about our ups and downs on today's episode of Monday Movers. First off, Molly, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Kind of unfortunate Aaron's not here, but congrats when you listen to this, Aaron. We're super happy for you, but it's raining in Sioux Falls where I'm at, and it'll start snowing pretty quick here, so that sucks. But other than that, everything's good. How about you?
Everything's good here. Really good slate of games yesterday outside of the Sunday night football game. 8 of the 11 Sunday afternoon games were all decided by one score. Even then, like one of those other games that was like the Seahawks-Bills game, which was still a burner of like 44-34. So there's a lot of good action from top to bottom. The 2 p.m. slot, at least when I watched it, the 4 p.m. slot for Eastern, I thought all three of those games were fire. Like they were all come down to the wire, last plays of the game type stuff. And we're going to do something kind of unconventional. We are going to talk about a team that lost as an up. And I'm going to let you guys know I did not pick this, but I'm going to run with it. And it's the Carolina Panthers. Before we dive too deep in everything, Molly, what is your impression of Carolina yesterday going up against the defending Super Bowl champions?
You know, I've been really impressed with Carolina this entire season, not just yesterday. I mean, through the injuries to Christian McCaffrey and all of that nonsense, they've been a really good football team despite only being 3-6. So yesterday, I saw a headline yesterday, and it was that the Chiefs mauled the Panthers, which is garbage. It was a 2-point game. It was a really good game. It was nice for that team to have Christian McCaffrey back, even though it sounds like he's going to be out again. I really like this Panthers team. I think going forward, they're just going to be better. I think Teddy Bridgewater's getting more comfortable with this team. Their wide receiving corps is so underrated. I really like the Panthers.
Here's the thing we have to look at, that the Carolina Panthers held the Kansas City Chiefs to only 30 rushing yards. And this is supposed to be a team that's, super electric. They have playmakers all over the place, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Le'Veon Bell were held in check yesterday outside of a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey looked great. I think the coaching, Brady and Rule, that combo is fantastic. I'm enjoying it more and more. I mean, this is Carolina's fourth. Like, of their 6 losses, 4 of these losses are by 1 score. They're close games. They're competing with everybody. I think, like, as the defense gets older, this team is going to look really good in the future. Obviously, a super young defense, but I mean, with these playmakers on offense, they were keeping up with Kansas City the whole game.
I really like that they took risks too, like faking punts. They just knew that they had to put it all on the line to beat this team, and they were so close. It was a Joey Sly field goal away, and I was really hoping for it. I would have loved to see that.
Yeah, it's 6-7 yarder. That last drive was the only negative I had from Carolina, as it seemed like they were doing too much check down. They weren't willing to take a risk there in that last final minute. I think a nice little 10, 15 yard play would have been perfect in that situation. But I just think Carolina is better than their record. And for a team that is supposed to be the worst in the NFL this year, as everybody was projecting, they're doing pretty well. So they get it up for us. Hopefully they can change direction. I mean, this is week 4 of 5 in a row where they're playing either a former MVP or a former Super Bowl MVP, in a 5-game stretch in a row. So let's move on to the AFC, but more specifically just the defense. And getting a big up for us here is the Baltimore Ravens defense. They came into this game kind of struggling after last week. Lamar hasn't been the most accurate quarterback over the past couple of weeks and everything. He's not delivering. Their offense just it's not clicking. And they didn't have to today. The defense took care of everything for him.
Yeah, it was a really good game. It wasn't high scoring in the first half, but the Colts were moving the ball down the field. They were doing their thing that they've been doing all season long. But the Ravens defense came out of the second half and kind of just just destroyed them. The Colts couldn't get anything going, and that's important because, like you said, their offense just hasn't been clicking. I mean, yesterday the Ravens put up 24 points on 250 yards. And only 150 of those were passing. There's something wrong with that offense. They'll figure it out, I think, but their defense keeping them in these games is what's really important. It's like, you know what? Lamar Jackson made a bad throw. He fumbled the ball, but you can trust your defense to go out there and make the stop, and that's really important.
Yeah, the Ravens held Phillip Rivers to 58% completion percentage. His QBR was a 33. They put him in check and everything. They didn't have to get a ton of pressure on him and getting sacks and everything to create chaos here. Late in the first quarter, Chuck Clark has that huge fumble recovery off of Jonathan Taylor, who we kind of predicted wouldn't have a good week fantasy-wise, and we said this is why he's going to struggle, and then he does struggle, and I'm pretty happy about that prediction right there. But not only did they get that big touchdown there, they held them blank. They 0 points allowed in the second half. The past 2 games, the Ravens have allowed at least 28 points, and they come in today saying, no, everybody sit down, relax. We had some off games. This defense is legit. We can hold people in check.
I don't have all the confidence in the world in Lamar Jackson. I think I said this last week. I just don't. But I think the Ravens defense will take him there. I really do. I think if anything's going to carry this team, they just don't have the eliteness on offense. It doesn't seem we aren't the same team last year. But if you're giving me like Marlon Humphreys, to just punch out the ball from someone, that's all I need. Truly all I need on this team.
A couple big things to note on this as well before we get out of here. On the Ravens, that they held the Colts to 2 for 12 on third downs. If you can be super efficient on defensive third downs, easy way to win games right there. Stalling drives. And outside of like 4 big runs, because I think like when you break off a big run, that's kind of like an anomaly, and I don't really consider that how good you are as a run offense. If you take away those 4 big run plays, the Baltimore Ravens kind of held them in check on the inside. The Colts on those other 17 attempts only got 60 yards. So 4 bad plays on the rush defense, I don't think puts a big knock on them. Their rush defense has been great all year. Big up for the Ravens defense. Chuck Clark, great game all around. Now let's talk about a player, just one player. Let's talk about Tua. This man is now 2-0 in the NFL.
Tua Tagovailoa, dude. Feels good to say his name. I really wanted the Chargers to grab Tua, but the Dolphins right in front of him, and always kind of worried about his health. But he just went out there, looked great yesterday, and I think we're here to talk about Tua, but I just want to say that I think the entire Dolphins team looks great. They are 5-3. That's an amazing start for them. Their defense and special teams has been lights out. It seems like they just got it. They're clicking right now. They beat the Cardinals yesterday. Tua threw for 250, 2 touchdowns, and honestly, this Dolphins team is really exciting, and I think they can keep up with the Bills in the East.
With Fitz, they were still spreading the ball around and being efficient, but I think with Tua, there's less risk in their play style. I also think they play a lot faster, and I trust him. After watching yesterday, I don't have any worries or concerns about his health, his mobility, his athleticism, none of that. Tua's ready for the NFL, 100%. I thought he was a year away, so I'm wrong on that aspect, but I just think the Dolphins team, they just look better with him on offense. It just feels like a more free-flowing, modern offense is all.
Yeah, I'm really excited about Tua, and if you look at the stats, if you break down the stats, the Cardinals looks like they outplayed the Dolphins the entire game. So that efficiency is key. They were 4 for 8 on third downs. 50% is crazy, but they held the Cardinals to like 5 of 12. They ran 56 total plays, the Cardinals put up like 15 more, and they still won this game. I don't know. I'm honestly flabbergasted by the Dolphins. Like you said, I thought they were a couple pieces here, a couple years there. But I'm honestly just kind of blown away by how great this team's been playing all season long.
The positive note for them is that not only are they 5-3 right now, they kind of have a little bit of a favorable schedule coming up here. They have the Chargers, they have the Broncos, the Jets, and the Bengals, like 4 teams that are below 500 in record. We could see these Dolphins who are on a 4-game winning streak potentially hit that 8-game winning streak going into Kansas City. And we could be looking at them at like 9-3, like, Are they going to literally take this division potentially? Like, they played well against Buffalo early in the year, only lost by 3. They held in there. They only lost by 8 against the Seahawks. They lost by 10 against Patriots week 1, but again, week 1's kind of out the window for me. So, with those close losses, this Dolphins team is way better than we gave them credit for. If they can establish a better run game to support Tua, then I think this team is going to look good deep in the year. That's enough positivity. Let's talk about some downs. We got Panthers going up, Ravens defense, Tua. I think Sunday's action in general moves up for me in these power rankings. But for a down, can we talk about the Seahawks just like as a whole? Like they're not moving down a lot. This is like if you're like the number 3 team in the NFL and we move you down to like 5, but it's still a cause for concern.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of concerned early parts of the game when the Seahawks just weren't playing well. You watching that game and you're looking at the scoreline, you're seeing Russell Wilson turn the ball over, and it's just one of those things you're like, oh. But I mean, like you said, I think if they were ranked like 3rd in the power rankings, I'd maybe drop them down to like a 4 or 5 here. I don't think it's enough for me to be like, oh, I think Russell Wilson's still my MVP. But it's just like 3 for 12 on 3rd downs and 5 sacks allowed. I mean, they lost the ball 4 times. That's just not Seahawks football. I think it's a bad week. I think they'll be back. I don't think Russell Wilson will do something like this again. But yeah, yesterday was kind of a little bit of a wake-up call. But I think that they needed it at this point, and they'll be better from here on out.
They have so far on the year on defense, because I mean the offense I'm not really worried about. I mean the offense had 4 turnovers yesterday, with the defense causing 0. And they still only lost by 10. Josh Allen played out of his mind, and Russell Wilson was still able to fight back and keep this game close. But their defense has allowed 243 points in 8 games. That's 30 points per game average. You cannot win a Super Bowl allowing 30 points. Somebody's probably going to argue with me and be like, well, there's games that go, I don't care. I don't give a shit. If that happens on a consistent basis, you cannot rely on your offense. You can't rely on Russell Wilson just like, it's okay. Like every week he's going to go out and he's just going to drop 31 points. So you can't rely on that. It's too risky, especially if this defense can't get turnovers. There is some positive. Seattle was able to get 7 sacks on a really good Buffalo offensive line. They held the Bills to 57 rushing yards, but then again, all year long we've been saying the Buffalo Bills have no rushing game. So I'm not giving them too much credit on that part, but I mean, Josh Allen, 415 yards, 3 touchdowns. It seems like everybody's doing well against them. I don't know what's going on with these Seahawks. They've only been able to hold one team to 23 points. That's the lowest on the years, 23. Like, if you cannot allow people, like if people are going to score at least 4 times on you, you got to find an issue. I don't know if the defensive coordinator needs to be fired. I don't know if they need to find something else. Pete Carroll was embarrassed yesterday, in my opinion, especially after signing an extension. Something's got to fix with these Seahawks if Russell Wilson wants to win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, I guess I do see this as a negative for them, as we have to in this negative part of the show. But I do think that, the Seahawks they'll be all right. I think, their schedule is a little tough coming up. They've got a ton of divisional games, but then they play the NFC East, They've got some, and the Jets, they've got at least 4 wins there. I think they're going to be okay. I think they'll figure it out.
Chicago Bears, a team that has been an up, almost not a regular, but we've been talking so highly about these Bears all season. And this offense was just terrible yesterday. Now, yes, hang on before everybody checks me and everything. They scored 17 points. Yeah, I get it. They outgained the Titans in offense. We're going to talk about that in a second, but what did you see from the Bears yesterday that kind of disappointed you?
I've been kind of disappointed with the Bears all season long. Let's be real quick. They were 5-1 at one point with a +5 point differential. They have not been a good team all season long. They are really injured on both lines, defensive and offensive. But what I saw from the Bears yesterday, they were getting clowned. There was that play where A.J. Brown caught it and just kept making corners fly left and right, can't tackle them. And I heard someone say you watch the Bears and any hope that you had that their defense would carry their offense is gone. I think they start 5-1, they're going to miss the playoffs. I think they're a bad team, and they just had such great strength, like a weak schedule early on, and squeaked out a lot of close games against bad teams, but they are a bad football team. Fair
enough. I mean, right now they're sitting right in the thick of things. I believe they're technically like they're out of the playoffs technically right now because the NFC East, we have to allow one of them into the playoffs. Yesterday, Bears offense. Here's where we're gonna fact check everybody. Okay. Yes, they gained over 300 yards offense, like 375 yards offense. 172 of those yards, or 173, were in the fourth quarter alone. Like, that's an issue right there when almost like 50%, it's like 44% of your offense is in one quarter. You're never going to win games like that. Yes, I know they beat the Falcons. Falcons are shit. We already talked about that earlier, but the whole time the offense was playing bad. Foles looked all right. he looked all right in the fourth quarter, but it just seemed like missed opportunity, overthrows, like the run game couldn't really get going. They had 56 yards on 20 attempts, which is good for 2.8 yards, which is not good, obviously. They lost a fumble that was returned for a touchdown. They were 2 for 15 on third down. You know, and here's the thing, too. They had 20 more offensive plays than Tennessee. 20 more plays. Like, that's 2 full drives almost. And they couldn't manage to get...
2 for 15 isn't going to win you football games. It won't win you a game against the Jets or the Giants. 2 for 15 on third down is terrible. And if you look ahead, let's be extra negative this morning about the Bears. If you look ahead, they play the Vikings twice, and the Vikings are getting a little heat here. They came off their bye. Dalvin Cook's carrying this team. They play the Packers twice. They play the Lions, which Matt Nagy has never lost to the Lions or Vikings. I will throw that out there. But that's a tough divisional game. And then they play the Texans and the Jaguars, which are whatever. But I can see them losing 1, 2, 3, 4 of these games at most. And in a division, the conference where you have the NFC East teams to worry about getting all 3 of those wild cards, maybe not the 49ers here, they've got to start winning games. I don't know what they're going to do to win these games, but they've got to figure it out. And it's a mess in Chicago. And if I were a Bears fan, I would be worried.
Yeah, and I mean, especially with how competitive the NFC is right now. Another thing here is that the Bears had 8 first downs on their final 4 drives, which means they had 11 first downs on their first 9 drives. That's not good at all. I don't know what it is to fix. I think this team is going to be looking for a quarterback next year. I think this is going to be one of those places that we could maybe see, this is really bold and everything, like Jimmy G might end up here type thing. But I just think this team, I don't know what it is. They have playmakers on offense. I am a huge Allen Robinson fan. They got playmakers on defense, but as a whole, it's not there.
1 second. I feel so bad for Allen Robinson. His 2 quarterbacks have been Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky, and I guess Nick Foles. And also real quick, because you made a joke about the NFC East, this morning ESPN put out a stat that the Eagles have a higher chance to win the division than the Steelers do. The 3-4-1 Eagles have a 79% chance to win that division, and the 8-0 Steelers have a 70% chance to win theirs. Just had to throw it out there. Garbage fire.
Fair enough. And with all that being said, Chicago Bears offense gets down. Defense played great, but not good enough when your offense is that bad. All right, we're gonna turn this into an open forum. We're gonna talk about Anthony Lynn, and I'm not even gonna say anything really. I'm just gonna let you talk. Why is Anthony Lynn getting another down this week?
He's got to go. I don't know anymore. Let's break down a few important things here. Anthony Lynn took over for the Chargers about 4 years ago, and he said that this isn't the same old Chargers. They're not going to lose these close games anymore. You know, we're gonna get a winning culture, and it hasn't happened. This season alone, they're 2-6, and honestly, and I know there's bias here, the Chargers should be 6-2. They really should be. They've had 4 weeks in a row where they've had 16-point leads. They've lost 6 games this season by 24 total points. And in all one-possession games, 3-15 in one-score games in the last couple seasons, something's going wrong here, whether it's the play calling, the special teams, whatever the hell it is, it's got to stop because it is driving me nuts. Like, week after week, it comes down to the final play, and they can never execute. And at some point, you got to look at the head coach and be like, why the fuck aren't you executing this shit? It's terrible. Maybe I should stop before, it gets too heated in here.
No, but it's fair though. I mean, right now they're sitting at 0-3 in divisional games. They're 1-3 on the road. I mean, because we don't look at this team as having a real home field advantage yet. Like, it's going to take some time for that to happen and everything, being in Los Angeles, but still 1-3 on the road. These games are winnable. They only have a negative 11, point differential. So it's not the fact that they're putting up points. They're putting up a decent amount of points, but the play calling is bad, and their fourth quarter is terrible. And I don't know exactly how you're gonna fix that without removing him. I don't think there's a single way to fix it without removing him out of there. So that's that from there. Justin Herbert's looking really good. You have weapons in Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry and Mike Williams and Austin Eckler when he comes back is another weapon. They've got to find somebody. They got to beat somebody because, I mean, they're traveling to Miami next week. a team that is on fire, that is playing well, both sides of the ball. And then 2 weeks after that, they get the Bills again. Like, this season's going to be over before you know it. And Anthony Lynn is going to be out the door before week 17. That's a prediction right now.
You can predict that, but I read on Bleacher Report that regardless of what happens this season, they're not putting Anthony Lynn on the hot seat, which is just mind-blowing. They've had one winning season in Anthony Lynn's 4 years, and that was the year they went 12-4 and made it to the divisional. But other than that, they've missed the playoffs 3 of those years. They have just like completely been below expectations, and I know that the Chargers are always injured here. It just is what it is, but it's just at some point you got to look at why are people getting injured? Why aren't the play calling good? Why do we have no depth? You have to look at that around. And I'm kind of getting sick and tired of the moral victories with Justin Herbert. He deserves better as a player.
That is all the negative we got. That is all the downs we got and all the ups we got. So yeah, Chicago Bears offense, Anthony Lynn, and the Seahawks as a whole slightly are moving down this week in our fictional power rankings. And that's going to do it for us here on Second and Short. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Be sure to click that subscribe button down below to stay up to date on everything that is Second and Short. Click that like button because it is the cheapest way to support us. It's actually free, super free. And it lets us know you like what we're doing. Comment down below who you have moving up and down, who impressed you, who pissed you off. You can be biased, be as biased as you want to be in the comment section. And be sure to check us out on all social media outlets. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok's coming soon. Look down below for all those links. Check us out on Google Podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts now. Everywhere you can get podcasts. Thanks for listening, and you guys have a good night.